What it do, good people? It is Friday night. So you know your boys are in the building with you. I'm doing a little double duty. I got the tomahawk chop braids hat on. Y'all see what's in the background. Playoffs are starting, so we definitely got to talk about that. Um, also, a couple more things happening within the world of sports. And you know why things are happening within the world of sports? Because that's what sports is supposed to do. So tonight, as always, your boy Cool McCain. You know I'm all over the place with my teams. Y'all see him. And I'm joined as always by this guy over here with that atrocious purple on.
I can represent a couple teams too, man. Because I obviously got my Lakers shirt. Got my Florida State hat sitting right here next to me, and there's some 49er stuff all over the room. So I'm also a multi-team representative up in here, and
yeah, I even go this far. Like everywhere I go, bam, Eagles. Let's go on the keychain. Let's get it.
Yeah. That's how you got to do. You got to stay representing. You know what I'm saying? And
good or bad.
And of course, we had to bring up the Eagles and the 49ers because they're going to be doing something along with the other 30 teams in the NFL next Thursday night. And your boys will be there.
In the building.
Well, not in the building.
Shout out to
the building.
Shout out to Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. He says, "Happy Friday, everyone." Yes. But when I say in the building, right here in this building, not their building. Right here will be in this building. You know what I'm saying? But before we get to any of that, just need to remind everybody who he is. If it's your first time, if you haven't been here a while, if you like it, if you don't like it, hey, it is what it is. Got to remind everybody.
PlayCallers.
Keep it real simple. Keep it real sweet. You know what I'm saying? But we got a lot of things that we need to discuss tonight. We got a lot of things that's been happening within the world of sports. But we have to start off with what's going on with the number one draft pick in the WNBA draft. So Caitlyn Clark has signed an 8-figure shoe deal with Nike. Now, to be clear, she was NIL with Nike already and had a shoe out. But they decided to sign her to an 8-figure deal that she's in the WNBA. So a lot of people were complaining that, oh, she's not getting a lot of money and blah, blah, blah. No, she's not. But she's getting a shoe deal. And there's only 3 active players with signature shoe deals. There's Caitlyn Clark, Sabrina Ionescu, and Breanna Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
So that means the Gold Mamba doesn't have that. Asia Wilson doesn't have a signature shoe. Whoever your other favorite WNBA players are, only 3 have a shoe. But before we get into any of that, and there is one other that had one. And that has one. There's one other player that has one, and that's Candace Parker, of course. But Candace Parker and those 3. Candace Parker is back active, so I got to remember to add her back because she did re-sign with the Aces. Got to kind of remember that, right? So, Box Man, what's your thoughts on that? And AP says Nike will sign anybody. What up, AP?
I gotta disagree with AP here, right? I don't think Nike will sign just
sign us.
Look, but I tell you what Nike will sign is anybody who they think will bring in some dividends, some revenue. And based on the ratings and the uptick in interest in women's collegiate basketball, I think this is a very wise investment on behalf of one Nike.
It's smart for Nike. It's smart for Caitlyn Clark as well. Because you get in, you get things going, people know who you are. So little girls are going to go buy your shoes, right? because you're going to buy shoes of somebody that you relate to. So if you're a little girl that wants to play basketball, or even like a teenager wants to play basketball, if you know that Caitlyn Clark has a shoe out, and that's like one of your only main signature shoes, then that's what you're going to rock with. Now, couple of things I want to bring up about that in a second. But before I do that, let's hit AP's comment. So AP says, I think Angel don't want a shoe deal. She's more of a fashion person to go after the clothes and makeup. So let me ask you this, AP. I agree that she's more fashion, makeup and stuff, but you're going to have to wear a shoe every game, right? Mm-hmm. So if you could have a shoe that's your shoe, that you can help design, then why not? You know what I mean? In the building, the comedian in the making himself, Rod. What up, Rod? Rod says, what's up, fellas? So Rod's got a little short. He did like a stand-up act. He's got a little short of it, man. He actually sent it to me, and it's funny. So, Rod, hey, man, do your thing, bro. If I feel like he might got the glow.
Is that what you sent me on Instagram the other day?
No, I don't think that's what I sent you. I think I sent you the guys doing Cartman songs.
Okay, I don't ever actually watch any reels that people send me unless they tell me what it is.
Yeah, it's like a Cartman. It's a guy that does songs, Cartman's voice. So when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I got to send it. I sent it to a bunch of people, and everybody's been like dying laughing about it. I think it's hilarious. I follow him. He has like 30 songs that I've seen so far that he does in the Cartman voice. And he throws in that I hate cows and all that. It's hilarious.
You'll have to send me Rod's video so I can check it out, man.
But yeah, I'll see your Roz. He sent it to me on Facebook Messenger. AP says, does Jordan Brand have a woman deal? AP, you need to start getting ahead of yourself. Nah, joking, but that's where I was going. So we've got these different women that have shoes, right? So I'm not going to go into who has what. Sabrina has Nike. I'm not going to go into everybody else. Obviously, there's only two more people. I'll say this. We got Jordan Brand, right? We talking about 4 active players that have shoe deals. CP3 and the 3 I named. The real CP3 and the 3 I named. So we got Jordan, just got his own brand. Curry got his own brand with Under Armour. We got Puma, right? We got New Balance that's doing the basketball shoes. We got Reebok that's doing the basketball shoes. You know what I'm saying? Other brands as well. Skechers probably got a basketball shoe by now with some memory foam in it. So we have all these places that you can get shoes. We only have 4 women that have signature shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is what I'm saying. Like, we talk about growing the brand and people complain at this and that and all women only make this and whatever. This is the reasons why. They're not drawing in the numbers. They're not drawing in the money. So if you don't have the income, you can't pay the players what they deserve. But what you can do is find ways to supplement that with shoe deals, T-shirts, jersey purchases, all those things. Mm-hmm. So that's where there's a big disconnect, because we talk about base salaries, but base salaries aren't how the superstars in the NBA get paid. It's one way, but it's not the main way. Right. Michael Jordan did not make a lot of money as a player. He made a lot of money from endorsement deals and all those other things. Mm-hmm. So we do need Jordan brand, Curry brand, LeBron brand. All y'all need to have some signature females. If y'all want to help bring enlightenment to the female game, help people watch the female game more, where's the signature shoes for the females? Where's the Team Jordans for the females? Where's the Team LeBrons? You know what I'm saying? Even if it's not a specific person. What's good? That's the type of things that we got to get to. Jersey purchases, tickets for all the teams, not just Caitlyn Clark's team or Caitlyn Clark's visiting your city. Obviously, there's some other cities that sell out, but all the teams don't. Merchandise, hats, all that. We have to get all those things flowing so that they can get more income going into the league. So when the next CBA happens with the WNBA, women can get paid more where they don't have to be overseas trying to play as well, because they're getting what they need to survive right here in the good old United States. And that's the thing. Ain't no big soapbox, but it's just life. You want a brand to succeed, you have to do things to help it succeed. Any thoughts on that, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, a big part of it comes down to, for these companies to want to get involved, it's got to be profitable for them, right? And the hope is that with some of these ladies coming into the WNBA who were kind of a part of this evolution in college, that that's more eyes actually getting on the games. That's going to lead to increased ratings for the WNBA, which also puts more eyes on some of the stars who are already in the league that maybe people just never paid attention to. And so now you get to see some of these other people play, and you start to realize, oh, it's not just these couple of new ladies who are coming in. There's actually already really great players in the WNBA that we've been missing out on. And so once you start getting those eyeballs and people start to recognize that there's already great players there, that can start to create that brand awareness. And hopefully that creates more opportunities for some of the ladies who are already there and have already been, putting into work in the WNBA. And it can just raise the entire brand because, as you said, ultimately, that's how you have to kind of build this thing. You have to get the exposure, but you got to get the TV ratings. You got to start getting the brand deals. You got to start getting the commercials. You got to start making these household names for people to really care about it. And not until people care about it and enough people are tuning in that advertisers and TV networks are willing to pay more to televise the games and to be able to advertise on the games, you're not going to get an increase in salaries. You have to do those things first. They're not just going to go, oh, we'll just give you more money. I mean, the WNBA is losing money every year. They're not just going to hand out more money just because. You have to find money. You have to make money somewhere in order for them to get paid more.
Well, I know a lot of people have been talking about the WNBA losing money. I just want to make everyone aware for 2023, the WNBA did not lose money. They were in the clear this past year, and they're trending to make money this year.
Yeah. So
they're trending in the right direction, and the reason that they're trending in the right direction is because people are talking about the game. That's why they're now at a point where they're going to add 2 more teams in 26 and 2 more teams in 2028, because now they're at a point where there's profitability happening and they can go out and it makes sense to add more teams. Rod makes the next point I was going to make before we got away from it. They need more women to support the WNBA. You do. Yeah. And not just women, guys too, but you need women, right? Men support the NBA. Some men like myself and others do want to support the WNBA as well, but you need women to support it as well. So I've been doing some research on the WNBA, and up until 2023, they were not profitable. Well, yeah, they were losing money. They were profitable, but they were losing money because of their expenses. So last year they finally got at the break-even point, which still means over time they've lost money because that's 1 year. But like I said, they're trending towards if things go the way they want. Moving forward, they can kind of be a league where they can make some money. I know the Dream have multiple sellouts already. I know that, of course, the number 1 team, Caitlyn Clark's team, has a sellout every game. When they're coming to certain cities to play, they have to move to a different venue. They have to move to the professional team's venue to play because so many people want to come and watch Caitlyn Clark. So that's big. That's a major win for the WNBA. Also, a lot of the draft picks that they had this year, these are ladies that are going to come in and may not make large impacts immediately, but they will make impacts. That will allow the league to grow. But guys taking your nieces, your cousins, your daughters, your little sisters to see these games, that's very important for them to see that representation to happen. Yeah. So don't want to get on a soapbox about just that, but it is important to understand we talk about leagues and what we want. We have to go out and be actionable about those things as well.
Yeah.
That's something that has to happen with the WNBA for sure. So the next topic is stupid, right? I'm just going to be put out. It's stupid that we have to talk about this, but we have to talk about it. So Jontay Porter, brother Michael Porter Jr., banned from the NBA lifetime. He was betting on his own team. He was manipulating over and under bets on himself by taking himself out of games. And he was betting on NBA games when he was in the G League. So, man, what are your thoughts on Jontay Porter?
I don't really know what you can possibly say outside of it's just incredibly stupid. I read somewhere that basically his net winnings for all of his bets was like $21,000. You ruined your life. You threw away an NBA career for $21,000. There's really nothing more
silly. Yeah, that's majorly silly. And what's stupid about it on so many different levels, your brother's an all-star with a max contract in Michael Porter Jr., right?
Mhm.
So you're now taking away from him being able to focus on what he needs to focus on going into the playoffs and trying to make, and try to be a back-to-back champion because of the foolishness that you're doing. Your family's going to have questions. Michael Porter Jr. is going to have to answer questions all playoffs about you doing this. And you sitting up in here in games that you're playing in. What you've done as far as gambling goes is worse than Pete Rose.
Mm-hmm.
You gambled not only on your teams that you were playing for, but you affected lines by not going into games or pulling yourself out of games early so that you hit the under on certain bets of people bet your playing time. You did so many things that were going to alert the league, and you felt like you were at a point where you were going to be untouchable. But what you didn't know is the NBA is always going to clamp down. These leagues are just waiting. Sometimes they give you rope, right? They say, well, maybe he gonna bet a couple of times that if he let it go, we just gonna maybe sweep it under the rug. No, you just kept on going and kept on going. So you got yourself in a position. Now you're stuck like Chuck. So all I can say to you, man, is I hope it was worth it. Hopefully you can get over the Shanghai Sharks or Italy or somewhere for that. You cannot do what this dude did and expect to be successful and expect for things not to happen.
I mean, here's the thing, man. You and I both at earlier times in our life worked in management, and you and I both know that when you work for a corporation and they know somebody's stealing, they don't call you out right away. They don't just come in and bust you as soon as you steal something. They let you get to a certain threshold.
Mm-hmm.
So they can actually come in and press charges and walk you out of handcuffs in front of everybody and do all that stuff, right? To make an example out of you. This dude thought he was being slick, thought he was sliding under the table, and the NBA just went ahead and go, here you go. Just go and keep going. Keep going, bro. We got you.
Yep. So AP, according to my co-host, he didn't make it big betting on himself, which I mean I agree should be easy. So here's Damien, and he makes a point, but I will have a counterpoint to it. So Damien says, #justice for Porter. Sorry, but I don't see how he is getting banned for life for betting when there are other players doing way worse and they're getting slapped on the wrist like Giant Bridges. So there are certain things that are just integrity, right? Mm-hmm. Beating a woman, walking around with a gun, or what you claim was a lighter that looks like a gun was punishment, right? So let's not act like they weren't punished.
Yeah.
But what this man did was influence the outcome of games. There was a referee that did the same thing and received the same punishment. Mm-hmm. So you're wanting to compare a domestic violence situation and someone with a gun that may or may not have been loaded, but they had the video, which was a bonehead decision, to someone actively affecting the outcome of NBA games that they're involved in, that their team is involved in, and betting on them. And here's the other piece I want you to know why I know he was going to get banned for life when I read this article before they even said it. You know why I knew he was going to get banned for life? Because he didn't have the testicular fortitude to do it himself. He had someone else make the bets for him.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew what you shouldn't be doing what you were doing because you had to try to go through a third party to get the bets.
Yeah.
So you thought you was too smart for the system, and you got caught.
You thought you were being slick. And I'll say this about Damien's comment. To me, these are a little bit different things, right? So if you're talking about Ja, that is more a matter of you just did something stupid, right? I mean, it'd be one thing like if you actually like shot somebody or did something, but just having it to me wasn't like this criminal thing in and of itself, right? Like maybe like the legal system views that as a criminal activity, but in terms of the league, like you didn't really hurt the league any, right? When you start talking about domestic violence, I think there's a very fair argument if you want to say the league should be more harsh on people who are found guilty of domestic violence. I don't have an issue if you want to make that complaint. But at the end of the day, it's like Cool said, this came down to you are affecting the integrity of the game. And questions like that if this were a star player or if this were a playoff series or the NBA finals and something like this came out and the integrity of the final of the result of those games was brought into question, that is actually really detrimental to the league. And they can't have that. So they got to, every little opportunity, whether it affected big games or not, they got to squash it. They got to send that message.
Yep. And Damien, let me educate you on this comment. It says the NFL didn't ban Ridley or Jomo. Just saying. You know why they didn't ban them? I'm gonna tell you why they didn't ban them. Because number one, they weren't betting on the outcomes of things that they could control. Right. Ridley was injured, but he was still a player, and he was betting on games.
Right.
Same thing with Jomo. They weren't betting on over or under lines for themselves. They weren't betting on win losses and then out there playing and affecting those win losses, pulling themselves out of game, acting like they were injured so that they could cover. They weren't doing those things. So because they weren't doing those things, they don't get the same penalty. Anybody in any league that does what he did is going to be suspended. I know Charles Barkley's at the time, he should just get 5 years. No, you have to send a clear and concise message when somebody goes to this level.
And let's be honest. And you got to be honest here. Yeah, let's be honest here. The NBA had this kind of fall in their lap a little bit, right? Because had this been a major player, then maybe they felt the temptation to only do a couple years for him or something like that. Still send a pretty harsh message, but not make it permanent. But by this being a lesser person, it gave them the ability to go ahead and just say, hey, lifetime ban. And now the message is out there. So now it doesn't matter. You could be LeBron. You go out there and do this. The standard has now been set. You know the punishment.
So my boy Vicula joins us. He says, what's going on, Cool Breeze McCain? What's up, Vicula? And then Vic also says, are we talking about the Antonio clown of the NBA, Jontay Porter? We are. Yes. And also, one other thing to relate to, since we're talking about clowns. So Antonio Brown made a comment on, I believe it was Instagram, about how Caitlyn Clark looks like she has a hairy bush. And, of course, she was blocked immediately. So a lot of people are like, oh, Antonio Brown, this and that. Let's be real. I'm just going to say this. We know that this man has mental damage from playing in the NFL. So I'm not saying you excuse his actions, but we can't be surprised when someone who probably has CTE does something crazy, right?
Yeah.
And the more you feed into it, the more outrage there is. That's still people talking about Antonio Brown. That's all he really wants.
Mm-hmm. The important thing to recognize when it comes to Antonio Brown is we just want to make sure that we are all on the same page, that we all understand that it's foolishness and that no one condones it. We don't need to talk about it. There just needs to be a universal understanding that we all recognize the symptoms of what's really going on inside this dude's head.
So Damien says, my question is, why didn't the NBA do anything to prevent this after the NBA refs cheating scandal? Well, because there hadn't been anything with a player before. There hadn't been any player stupid enough to do something like this. So until somebody was stupid enough to do this, there was no need to assume that somebody was going to do this. Because I got to be honest, when I read this, I was like, he really that stupid?
I mean, here's my real question, though. Like, Damien, what is your expectation? I mean, they've told players not to do it. It's well known that you can't gamble on games. It's even more, even if no one has explicitly said it to you, you know not to bet on things that you have control over. So my thing is like, what more do you really expect the NBA to have done? The thing is, there were rules in place. That's what they did. He broke them. He received his punishment.
And Vic says he's just glad she blocked him and left it at that. No reason to make a bigger deal about it. Exactly.
Agreed.
That's pretty much how you handle those situations. So, guys, we're going to talk a little NBA playoffs, right?
Playoffs.
There were some picks that your boys made that didn't quite end out the way that we expected them to end. But before we do that,
that's the first time that's ever happened. Not.
And we mean ever. Before we do that,
we're going to
take a quick break. We're going to come back and then we're going to dig into the NBA playoff scenario.
Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host. Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host of others as they break down every single game, every single week in an objective manner, and also from a fan's perspective as well. Remember, this cast feels just like you. Nobody likes you. And you don't care. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles Elite Podcast. Every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and other podcast outlets.
All right, good people. You know, sometimes things get a little glitchy, but it's all good. We live and in effect. So
I'm just struggling to wrap my head around the word equals and objective in the same sentence. Just
that's what happens. We have guys from other teams on with you guys. They just they poke, man. They poke at pride. You just have to be a bigger individual. So playing games. Some picks were made.
Mm-hmm.
Some have been correct so far. Some were not, but for reasons out of our control. So we're going to start in the East today, right? So we had the 9-10 playing game between the Bulls and the Hawks. So the Hawks are the worst team that made the playoffs, and no surprise, the Bulls handled them and are now going to be in the last playing game to get the 8th seed. So then we had number 76ers versus the number 8 Heat. So game's going well, everything's cool. Kelly Oubre decides to fly in the air, fall on Jimmy Butler's leg, and hurt him. Jimmy Butler is on the ground in pain. This is early in the game. We're talking about this early in the game. Jimmy Butler is in pain, but he still manages to tough it out and play the rest of the game. Obviously, without Jimmy Butler, anywhere near 100%, the Heats suffered a close loss, but they still lost. So now the Miami Heat have to play the 8-9 playoff playing game tonight. They win, they're in to go get desecrated, dominated, violated, no diddy, by the Celtics. The 76ers are now going to be in the 7th seed playing the Knicks, which if I had to pick between playing the Knicks and the Celtics, no disrespect to any Knicks fans out there, I'm picking the Knicks every time. So I know we both picked on our other show, we both picked the Heat to win. And in all fairness to us, Jimmy Butler has been the paragon of consistency in the playoffs, right? Playoff Jimmy Butler, all that. Right. But it doesn't seem to be something that's going to happen this year. So, man, what are your thoughts on the Eastern Conference playing games, and who do you think is going to win tonight?
Well, the game's going on right now. Miami's actually up 10, and we're almost at halftime. I do feel like they are good enough to still pull this game off without Jimmy Butler against Chicago. So I'm going to go ahead and give them the edge just because I think there's a coaching advantage there, right? That's kind of what I'm going to give them the edge with. But, yeah, it's not going to be pretty in the first round.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly. Whoever wins that game is getting whooped. AP, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Damien says, "I wish we were playing the Sixers right now." And then AP says, "You making me mad, cool. Keep freezing. It's giving me flashbacks of Dale up when my grandma was on the phone and I couldn't use the internet." Oh man, I don't know what's going on with you, but we're not freezing on this end. Maybe you got a thunderstorm, or they are repairing your internet. I don't know. But hopefully I won't keep freezing. But if I do, it'll be all right. It just gives you another chance to look at this facade. But
and for that, we would like to apologize, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, because I know it's not just me. You gotta look at him too. So we do apologize.
You just so you know, you are freezing up a little bit. It's not dial-ups pauses, but it's like little glitches.
It'd be all right. It just means you need to follow the buzzers. It just means my stuff got taken over by Uncle Howdy. That's all.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Uncle Howdy just took my stuff over. All right. So on the Western Conference side, we had the 7-8 game, the Pelicans and Lakers. Mm-hmm. So my co-host is a Lakers fan. So, he's going to have his own thoughts. That's fine. I'm going to give you non-biased party thoughts. That was a good game. The Lakers caught a big break with Zion Williamson being, and I'm going to say, unwilling to return and finish the game. And the reason why I'm saying being unwilling to return and finish the game is because for me, when I'm paying attention to this, when I'm looking, when I'm focusing on this, what I'm seeing is a guy that probably had like a slight hamstring injury, right? Nothing big, but probably a slight hamstring injury. Probably could have played another 2 minutes and helped his team, at least being someone that the team would focus on, a distraction so other players could get easier shots. But instead, unlike Jimmy Butler, who played over 3 quarters injured, Zion's like, oh, something don't feel right. I'm out of here. Boom. Street clothes. Williamson is back. Team really didn't have a chance after that. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say they would have won. Like 100%. No doubt they would have won. But it looks like it would have been a very tight game had he continued to play because he was dominating. Even if he couldn't be himself, being out there, being a force that the team had to contend with, I think would have been helpful. But, Zion's going to do what Zion does. He did. He made his move. At the end of the day, it didn't really matter either way because both teams lost. So the Lakers did what they were supposed to do. Guy goes out. It's not our problem. We're not supposed to lay down and say, oh, no, Zion left. So we got to stop playing. Keep moving, keep playing. So, Bossman, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, man, the Lakers had full control of that game. And they allowed the Pelicans to get back into it. The game should have honestly never been that close. But at the end of that game, the Pelicans had got their way back into it. And they had really taken the momentum of the game. So I agree with you when you say that they really got kind of lucky that Zion went out, because I felt like that kind of took some of the momentum back away from New Orleans that they had managed to get. So, I'm just going to leave it at that. It shouldn't have even came down to that. We shouldn't even have needed Zion to go out to win that game. But, we went a little bit cold, wasn't necessarily playing good defense, let them back in the game, and we got a little bit lucky that we had something sweet and momentum back our way.
Hey, man, we take wins where they come. That's what we all do. So I'm not going to sit there and fault the Lakers because it's Zion. You got to get to that point where maybe you could tough it out for 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? If you had no pop or nothing serious, and you may have something serious. I'm just saying from the levels of looking at 2 different players having the same similar situation happen. One toughed it out. One was like, yeah, I'm out of here, like immediately. All right, then we had the number 9 Kings versus the number 10 Warriors. The Kings did a number of Warriors. Klay Thompson, 0 points. I think this might be the end of an era. Shout out to the Kings for going in there and saying they ain't doing this to us again. They made them look old, and they beat them up. So now we got the Kings and the Pelicans as the play-in game for the 8th seed. Yeah, unlike the East, I can see a scenario where the Thunder lose the series, depending on who wins. So, Box, thoughts on the Kings Warriors? Who you think is going to be the team that plays the Thunder as the 8th seed?
You mean Pelicans and Kings, right?
Kings and Warriors. Then who's going to win between the Kings and Pelicans to get the 8th seed? Is what I'm asking. Yeah. So I'm asking your thoughts on both games.
Well, the Kings Warriors game really was just a absolute annihilation. It was a beatdown, right? The Kings clearly went in there focused, ready. I thought that the Warriors were going to go in. They've been really hot from 3. Thought they were going to be able to go in there, keep that momentum going, that their veteran leadership was going to maybe be able to helped them get the win. I was totally wrong. They got smashed. I don't know if Zion is playing tonight or not.
Nice, man.
But I feel like even if he did, I would still go Sacramento. But if he's not playing, I don't even think this game will particularly be close. Like I said, I felt like the Lakers really should have blown them out and they let them back in the game. I don't think Sacramento is going to do that because they know that their season's on the line. And so I think that Sacramento wins this game and claims that 8 seed.
Definitely. Rod, I see your comment. We'll discuss that in a few minutes. So Damien says, now I'm freezing up like mug shots. Hey, you never know what happens, man. Follow the buzzards. So Rod says, Lakers in 6 games, just kidding. And then he says, Zion needs to lose about 60 pounds. Man, I would even take like 20, 25. You know what I'm saying? And AP says, I don't see the Lakers beating the Nuggets. Sorry, Denver has size over the Lakers, just like someone said AD needs to step up. It can't be LeBron the number one. Yeah, I think that's what the problem has been the last few years is it's hard for a guy like AD who's like a 1A, right? I'm not going to say he's like a 2. He's like a 1A or a 1B. And then you got LeBron James as like the 1/1A, and you got AD as the 1B. And it's hard for the 1B sometimes to say, let me step up and be the 1 and let you be the 1A or the 1B. And I think that's what we're seeing. Because it's LeBron, because these guys have so much reverence for him, it's hard for a guy to take over when he's on a team with LeBron. And that's what I've been saying for years. It's not necessarily LeBron, right? Because I'm not a LeBron hater. I'm just sick of the as some people like to call them LeBron sexuals. People just, slob on all over LeBron all the time. I get the fact that it's hard to play with a guy like that, and it's hard to sometimes maybe say, let me take over. But when he's trying to give you the team, take the team. That's been a problem with the Lakers, I think, the last few years.
I'm going to tell you, this is my issue with AD. Look, you just really hit on the head with that last statement, right? And people don't acknowledge this enough. LeBron has literally been trying to get this dude to take the team since they won the title in 2020.
Yeah.
Right. They've been trying to get him to take it. And it's like, okay, I kind of get like, you're sharing the ball with LeBron when it's both of you out there. But the games where LeBron isn't there and it's AD, why are you letting these guys jack up 3-pointers? You should be up in people's face like, bro, give me the ball, let me go down the paint and do work, as opposed to you over here jacking up threes all day. But he doesn't do that.
I feel it. So I'll give you my thoughts real quick. They're very similar to my co-host. The Warriors, I thought were gonna, at least make it a very competitive game and tight, but they just kind of Klay Thompson just completely fell off. Someone said earlier they don't even know if he'll play another game in the NBA. I think he'll play another game, but it'll be as a bench player, not as a starter. I think his days of being like a starter and a consistent contributor might be over. But there's still a place for him in the league. So I think that the Kings are going to win, and we'll just go ahead and slide into the picks from there because we'll have to redo some of our picks because of who won. And, maybe we learn some new information. So we got the number 1 Oklahoma City Thunder, and we're both picking them to play the Kings in the first round. So I'm going to make mine short and sweet. The Thunder are a year away. The Kings are a little bit more seasoned. I got the Kings doing what B. Diddy did, Baron Davis back in the day with the Warriors, and beating the number 1. What are your thoughts, man?
I don't think that's outrageous, right? I think that it's very possible. I am going to pick Oklahoma City to win this series, but I will not be surprised if this goes a full 7 games, and I would not be surprised if we do have the 8-1 upset here.
I feel that. I definitely feel that. All right, so then we'll go to the other game that the winner of that will play, and that'll be the 4-5 game. So we got the Clippers and the Mavericks. I'm going to go Mavericks because we already got to the point where I was concerned about with the Clippers. I said, and I stand by, if the Clippers are 100% healthy, they should win this series. Kawhi Leonard's already out. By the way, Kawhi Leonard is part of USA basketball. He's supposed to be on a team, and he can't even play in the playoffs for his own team. Just saying. So I'm going to go Mavericks because the Clippers already show signs of injury, and you don't have Kawhi. That changes everybody's dynamic on the team.
There are two teams in these playoffs that I feel like could be very good when healthy, that I do not trust to stay healthy, and the Clippers are one of them. I'm also going Mavericks in this series.
Fair enough. Then we got the number 2 Denver Nuggets against the number 7 Lakers. Obviously, I'm a Nuggets fan. I'm picking the Nuggets to win. I don't think this will be a sweep like a lot of people are saying, because I think it's early in the playoffs. Michael Porter is going to be distracted with what's going on, and then guys got around in the playoff shape. So I think the Nuggets will win, but I'm not going to sit here and predict a sweep. If it happens, I'll be elated, but I'm not anticipating that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I will acknowledge that Denver is the better team. I acknowledge that it is a uphill fight to win this series, because it's going to mean that the Lakers are going to have to probably win in 6 and win a game in Denver, because I don't foresee them going and winning a game 7 in Denver. So it is a uphill battle, but you got LeBron and AD. If they both come in and bring their A game and actually play up to their potential, the Lakers do have a puncher's chance of winning this. So I got to make the homer pick and go with my team, but I can't not acknowledge the fact that it is somewhat unlikely.
That's fair. All right, so then we have the team that they would play, the number 3 Timberwolves versus the number 6 Suns.
Yeah, this is the other team that I don't trust to stay healthy in Phoenix. So I'm going to actually... Now, I will say it won't... If they can stay healthy, then they have a very good chance of pulling the upset in the series. But I just don't trust their health. So I'm going to go Timberwolves. Although they're dysfunctional, I don't know what to either. So, it's a toss-up.
I don't trust the Timberwolves. I don't trust Rudy Gobert to make a big difference in the playoffs. Mr. No-Show Carl Anthony Towns is going to show us who he is in the playoffs. So you got Ant Edwards against Devin Booker to show up 5 out of, let's assume it's a 7-game series. He'll show up 5 out of the 7 games. You've got Kevin Durant that's going to show up every game. I want y'all to understand something here. Breaking news, Kevin Durant got a haircut for this series. So for those of you who've been following Kevin Durant, you understand when he goes and actually gets a haircut, so he's not peasy. Because when he ain't peasy, his game gets sleazy. That's what he's going to be out there doing. He's going to be out there giving them the work. Neither one of these teams are adept at defense. Neither one of these teams are going to stop the other team that much. It's going to be a high-scoring series, I believe. It may break all-time records, to be honest with you. But I'm going to pick actually the Suns to win this series.
I'll just say this. For this series is going to come down to, we're going to find out what's more important, injuries or dysfunction. We're going to find out which one is the bigger hindrance.
And Bradley Beal, as you notice, I didn't say anything about Bradley Beal. I don't count Bradley Beal anymore, because if he plays game 1, he won't play again in like game 4 or 5. He's Bradley just Beal, not consistently healthy.
Bradley Beal at this point is a player coach.
Might be insulting player coaches when you say that, because that means you're insinuating they're going to actually play. But I definitely understand where you're coming from, and that's a great analogy for. That's the best one we got. All right, so we got in the Eastern Conference, we got the number 1 Celtics. We're assuming that they're going to be playing. Let's be honest, it doesn't matter. Celtics in 4.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Celtics in 4.
Yeah.
I didn't even pick this game because it doesn't matter.
The only way this series even goes 5 is if Boston takes a game off.
And it would have to
even go 5 in.
And it would have to be Miami, because if they take a game off against Chicago, they'll still not win.
Yeah.
Because I have that little faith in Chicago.
Yeah.
It would have to be Miami. They may can get 1 win if the situation calls for it. I'm going to just put it like that. We've got then the team that they will be playing, the number 4 Cleveland Cavaliers against the number 5 Orlando Magic. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna go Magic. I went Magic before. Nothing's changed. They don't have a veteran leader on the Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell doesn't want to be there. They end up 4th seed, but they cruised into it. The West, the East is just bad.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember who I originally picked here, but I'm going Magic now.
I think you went Magic too. I think we both went Magic because we don't trust the Cavaliers. All right, then we've got the Bucks at number 3 versus the number 6 Pacers. We're gonna do it a little differently for the Eastern Conference. I think this game is rather entertaining, so to speak. So you've got the Bucks, who are going to be without Giannis for at least a couple of games. Normally, without Giannis, they're not a very good team. But you've got a guy there in Dame Dollar who wants to be there. Psych. He does. But he likes playing with Giannis, but he doesn't like the area. So he doesn't want to be there. But the difference is I think he's going to go out and try to give everything that he can for his team so that, he can be like, hey, I gave y'all everything I had. You know what I'm saying? We didn't win or we win. Go ahead and let me get to Miami. Stop playing with your boy. Because we know this is where he wants to be. Like, we can say whatever, but he wants to be in Miami. That's where he wanted to be. So my thing is, let's get this man to where he wants to be. But first, before you do that, Dame, we need some Dame time against the Pacers. Neither one of you going to play defense. I think you're better equipped, the Bucks, to win out a series. I know coaching-wise, Doc Rivers, he ain't going to do much, but they haven't been coached much this season. They got 49 wins. So I'm going to go Bucks over Pacers, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's the opposite, but I am going to go Bucks over Pacers. Neither one of them play defense.
Yeah. So the updated reports are that Giannis could actually miss 2 to 4 weeks, which means he would miss this entire series. I feel like I would give the Bucks an absolute win if Giannis could play even some of this series. If he misses the entire thing, I'd give them still a chance. But I just don't trust this team because every year it seems like as soon as Giannis gets hurt, they fall apart. And Doc Rivers has done nothing to make me think that he's going to be the one to keep them together. So I'm actually going to go Indiana in an upset.
I will say one big difference for me is Chris Middleton may actually be healthy this year. A lot of times Chris Middleton's already out and then Giannis gets hurt. So you have either one of those guys, or you're depending on Drew Holiday to be your main scorer. And while I have given the Bucks a lot of grief for bringing in Damian Lillard and getting rid of Drew Holiday, Damian Lillard is more suited to be a weapon on the offensive end, which is what they need. A lot of these guys could grit and play defense. Pat Connaughton, Bobby Porter, list goes on and on with guys who got their grit, play defense, and score points at times. But they really needed another guy so that if and when Giannis gets injured, they were in a situation where they were covered offensively with a prime scoring threat. And that's the reason why they did the Damian Lillard thing. And this could be the situation where it works out. And that's why I'm going to go with them. But like I said, if they lose, hey, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Now go with the hardest game to pick. And that's going to be the number 2 Knicks versus the number 7 76ers. Boss, we'll start with this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the Knicks' chances long term in the playoffs. I think, there's some arguments to be made for ways that they're better without Julius Randle, but I think that long term in the playoffs, not having the versatility, not be able to bring him in and kind of get that change up, because in a series, you got to make adjustments. I'm not confident in them going a long way in the playoffs, but I do think they are a better team than the 76ers. So I will give them this series. If I were to put a number of games on it, I would say 6.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, honestly. I really don't need to say anymore. I would agree with that. I think the Knicks are good enough because we already know what's happening with Joel Embiid. He looks like a one-leg man in a butt-kicking contest out there right now. And there's nothing against him. It's just another one of the many injuries that he has. All right, so a couple of comments here, guys. So Rod says AD wants to be a glorified role player. Rod is also a Lakers fan, so he's not happy with AD as well. Damian says Kings in 6. He says Mavs sweep. Excuse me. He says Nuggets sweep. Damian also says Suns in 7. He has Boston in 6. He says Magic sweep, unfortunately. He does say.
I just want to know what world Damian's living in that Boston's going to take 6 games. Like, but he got everybody else sweeping.
And Damian says, I don't trust Doc or Dame in playoffs. If Bucks do get eliminated, Rivers needs to get fired. So Damian can carry a team. He's carried worse talent to a first round victory before. So I'm not going to bet against him doing a first round. But if Giannis is not back for round 2, they're going home. And not quick, but real quick. AP asked, would you trade away Damian? If you can get the right package and you can send him where he would be happier, I think you would trade him.
Yeah.
That would be, my thing.
Yeah. I mean, especially I'm going to say if you get eliminated in the first round.
I agree. So, guys, we're going to take one more quick break, come back and just give you a heads up on what's going to be happening with the draft because it's coming Thursday. And we got something for you. So make sure you're tuning in for that. Not expecting to see us Friday. All right. So technical difficulties that did not work out correctly. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to shout out 502 Sports Media, Angel Radio. They will be playing the show. So we're going to shout them out. We're going to keep it moving. And we'll try to get the glitches fixed for next week. It happens.
This is what happens when you're live.
Yes, no biggie. So, boss man, got a little time here left, about 7-8 minutes. Any thoughts on the NFL draft? We were asked a question earlier by one Mr. Rod, a loyal listener, by the way, him, Damian, AP. So shout out to them. Appreciate, the consistency. So he wants to know 49ers and Eagles draft needs. So I figure, hey, got a few minutes. Let's give it to them. What do you think the 49ers need to grab in the draft?
I think that when you look at the 49ers, there's a couple of obvious needs, but the question is how pressing are they, right? Obviously, offensive line is something that you want to address. The thing is, though, you got to kind of look at who's going to be available because the 49ers aren't drafting until 31. So barring a move up, you kind of find yourself in a position where most of the tackles, there's probably going to be a run on. There might even be a run on a lot of the guards. So do you want to reach for a guy who should probably be maybe a second rounder there at the end of round 1? Or do you want to maybe go a different position? We all know they love depth on the defensive line, and you definitely could use some younger guys because right now you have a lot of high dollar guys who you may have to cut ties with in the next year or two when Brock Purdy gets paid. So it would be very wise for them to build up some nice depth on the defensive line with some youth, guys that aren't going to need contracts for a couple of years. Obviously, if a number 1 corner falls to them in that position, that would also be another position of need. Outside of that, I don't really see them taking anybody in the first round. I would like to see maybe a tight end at some point. Unfortunately, this draft is not very deep at tight end. So they may not really be able to take care of that. But I think outside of that, man, everything else is really just kind of building depth. And that's really the only real big needs that the team has.
So for the Eagles, there's a couple of positions that are definitely they're going to draft. We're going to draft a center at some point. Probably not first round, but we're going to draft the center to back up Cam Jerkins, and in case he can't make that switch back, somebody that may be able, to play that position. We have Landon Dickinson, who's also played center before, so he might be a guy that can work with that as well. But I see us drafting the center. I would like us. I think we're also going to draft at least one defensive lineman, especially with this new Creed 4 that we're going to be running this year. We're definitely going to have to get at least one more linebacker. Someone with versatility who can play inside, outside linebacker would be apropos. Cornerback, we're definitely going to have to get someone there. I'm not very satisfied with the running back room, so I'd like to have someone for the running back room. We did sign CJ Uzoma to be our backup tight end, but I'm not really impressed with anybody behind him. So I would like to draft a guy that can at least come in and compete for that position. Pretty much, man, we've got, I think, 6 picks. Every one of those picks besides a center needs to be the layers of the other defense. So center, a running back at some point in the draft, and then 4 players on defense, a defensive lineman, at least one linebacker. Safety is a position I feel comfortable with, at least one corner. And then we could always go with another linebacker. If there's a safety that's overrated, we could go with that way. The other way I would go is possibly later in the draft. There's a specific player that I'm targeting. I forgot his first name, but he's Christian McCaffrey's brother. I think he's projected. Yeah, Luke. I think he's projected to be a 3rd round pick. He's apparently very fast, like Christian and Ed were as well. So I wouldn't mind grabbing him to be our slot receiver. Maybe not this year, but maybe a slot receiver in the future, because our team loves fast receivers. Let's get one whose dad actually taught him how to catch the ball, and not just guys who have speed and nothing else. So those would be what I would be choosing if I were the Eagles, and what I'd be looking for. They'll probably switch it up and go a different way. Maybe do something crazy like draft a quarterback, or something wild, draft like 2 corners, whatever they do. But that's what I would be looking at position wise for the Eagles.
Yeah. I will also just say, like you mentioned, linebackers and corners and safeties. And I don't know if people necessarily think about this or not, but almost every team will draft those positions, especially in the later rounds, because those are really the top 3 positions. A lot of times you're bringing in guys who are depth pieces, but also you're putting them on special teams. And I think especially with the new kickoff rules this season, there's going to be a emphasis for a lot of teams on making sure they're drafting really solid special teams players to handle those kick returns.
Well, definitely. So yeah, man. Great show tonight, guys. Appreciate everyone showed up in the comments. Love the interaction. That's what we're about. It helps the show move, and that's what we're about, man. So appreciate you guys. Moss, any last words before we up out of here for the evening?
Just want to remind everybody, man, next Thursday, we're going to be doing the first round of the draft live, right here on PlayCallers on our YouTube channel. Probably start around like 7:45-ish. We'll do a little pre-show for you guys. And, we'll have probably a good 30 minutes to kind of chat about what we think is going to happen before that first pick actually gets put in. Because, the NFL is going to make them use the whole 15 minutes on the clock and all that good stuff. So, come join us 7:45-ish and, get your questions in, talk to us, let us know what you think is going to be happening. And as always, man, it's a good time. So I look forward to seeing you guys.
And by the way, it will be a panel of us, so it won't just be us. We will have some special guests that'll be on, kind of talking NFL with us. We'll have one guy that hasn't been on in a while, but he's gonna be sliding back through. Some other people that from the squad, the homies. So make sure you check us out. Again, shout out to 502 Angel Radio. They will be listening to this show as well. And as always, tell 4 your friends and 4 your enemies to come check us out. For the enemies, just because they don't like you doesn't mean they won't like us. And as always, it's not how you start. It is always how you finish. PlayCallers out.